We have 4 steps that actually help you to gravitate to becoming a pro investor.
With savings, what happens is that once the money starts cash flowing, or once you get the capital injection of that money, you need to have a strategy. And this is tied up to the first 2 points, man.
Okay. I mean, that's a powerful question. Like when you actually come and have a meeting with me, the first question, maybe not the first question, answer after once we got to know each other, right? It's that, how liquid are you? Hello.
Hi everyone, it's cold outside, but we'll definitely make it warm inside, man.
Yeah, man, we definitely on that quarantine, man. We're on that quarantine in these bad times, man. A lot of things are actually happening. It's hectic for a lot of people, right?
Before we even get to that, man, I think we should introduce ourselves, man.
Okay, I'm LEBO.
And I'm Nong, and we are Nong.
Yes, man, as I was saying, man, what's actually happening in the world, man, a lot of people are getting chopped down in their works, right? So now what we are going to tell you about today, we're going to give you strategies on how to actually go into the property market, right? We have 4 steps that actually help you to gravitate to becoming a pro investor.
I mean, these 4 fundamentals will give stability to your strategy. With these 4 tips, guys, trust me, we will anchor your property journey towards success.
I mean, these are the strategies that we use on a daily basis. These are the strategies that we use to actually grow our property portfolio. I mean, having a structure for you to actually build your property portfolio is the number 1 thing that you need before you even go into the property market.
I mean, one of the guys that we actually talking with always asking us, why do you guys actually give away such information? You paid a fortune for it, but why do you give away such information?
I mean, we have the spirit of giving, man. We have the spirit of giving. So now if we don't give, who's going to give you, man? Who is going to give you all the information that we have?
So you don't only have the spirit of giving in Christmas, it's all year round, man.
It's all year round, all year round. Hey man, you need to actually watch the whole video. You need to watch the whole video. We have a surprise for you.
For what good reason?
We have a surprise for you, man. I'm not going to spill the beans right now. We have a surprise for you, and you need to watch the whole video to actually know what that surprise is.
And you need to have subscribed to our video, because if you have not subscribed to our channel, it will be a problem, man. I mean, we're putting in so much energy towards this thing that's coming up next week, guys. It's gonna blow your mind off. It's value. We overemphasize how we never compromise when it comes to value.
Let's dive into the content, right? You said we have 4 steps that actually help us to gravitate to become the pro property investors, right? So now the first one, I think Neo will actually explain it to you better.
I mean, with the first one, it's very important. I highlight, I emphasize. What else can I do with it, man? I
re-emphasize, if that's even possible.
Re-emphasize, I stress on it, guys, that we should do planning. With property, it's not just something whereby I have the cash and then I just buy any property and cross my fingers, hoping that I'll make profit. It doesn't work that way, because you can actually run on a return on investment which is negative, or whereby you're not cash flowing from first month, and which is a big problem. I mean, that is against our rules of engagement.
Yeah, man. I mean, in the planning stage, this is where you actually going to get your best strategy that's going to be tailor-made for what your situation, right? The second
with
thing
that, while you're still on it, man, what we saw is that most of the companies out there that actually help out with such information, they do not necessarily tell you this strategy is actually strategic for where you currently are right now. So now what we do is that we sit down with people. If somebody's interested in property investing, you'd look at the strategies and then you see, does this strategy actually suit them? For instance, for us right now, the strategy that we're currently busy with is that flip. So what we're doing is that we're buying houses below market value. We fix it once it looks nice with a smile, and then we just fix it, and then we just sell it. So that's our strategy right now. While we're still compiling the money, we're still waiting for compound interest. Then once it's sorted, then we'll go into rental. We have a strategy. We're not just crossing our fingers and going into a property deal. The second planning that you need,
before we even go into the second planning, right? If you are a property investor, please post it down on the comment section. What strategy are you using? Are you using a sourcing? Are you using a wholesaler, back to back? Are you using a flip? Are you using rental? Which strategy are you actually using, right?
Yes.
The second one?
The second point under planning is that you also have to look at your finances. I mean, with property, once you start entering the property game, you need to know, how liquid are you? this is one of those sensitive topics. I know if I could ask Lebza, just tell us live, man. How liquid are you, man?
I mean, that's a powerful question. Like when you actually come and have a meeting with me, the first question, maybe not the first question, answer after once we got to know each other, right? It's that how liquid are you? How much do you have, right? That will actually tell us how or which strategy will be best to actually suit you, right?
True.
If I don't know how liquid are you, I can't actually tell you or maybe give you advice on which strategy to actually go into.
So now it's very important to understand how liquid am I. And now in terms of liquidity, it's not just the bank account. I mean, you might have $0 in a bank account. However, credit, you still qualify for a home loan.
Yeah.
But now there's still so many things that you need to factor in when it comes to credit. So hence you need to plan. You need to plan also with finance.
Yeah. So the second one is the actually implementation of the strategies that you've been planning, right? I mean, a lot of people get caught up here, right? Now you strategize, now you actually ready for this, right? I want to invest right now, right? So now after the planning phase, you actually excited about, okay, now I know that the sourcing would be the best, right? Now I know that the capital flip would be the one for me, right? So now you get caught up in the planning, right? The important part is the implementation of
True.
what you actually did.
I fully
planning,
agree with
right?
that, man.
So now in the implementation, you're about to get your money, man. You need to go get your money. So now that's the step 2. Step 2 is the implementation and going to get that money, man.
In terms of getting the money, which approaches would you actually, in terms of, because I get that you're saying get the money, but in terms of in practical terms, how do you get the money?
So now in practical
how do you
terms,
get the money?
how do you get the money, right? Say for instance, for someone who doesn't have money right now in their bank account, someone who's not liquid, right? And you're sitting there and saying that, man, I can't actually go into the property market. I don't know which things to actually use to go into the property market, right? Say for instance, in the planning stage, you are certain now that I'm going to be a deal sourcer, right? So now what deal sourcing means is that you actually go on the ground and you search for deals to actually package them and tell the investor how much they are actually going to get, right? Say for instance, you have a property, right? You have a property in place, and this property you have actually identified this property to be very profitable, right? So now you go to Mr. Investor and you tell Mr. Investor that, Mr. Investor, I actually have a deal. I have a deal for you that's actually going to cash flow, or it's going to give you property. It's going to give you profit, right? So now Mr. Investor will then tell you that if they are interested or if they're not interested, right? Once they have told you that they're interested, they will buy that property deal from you. So now what we mean when we're saying go get the money, it's actually implementing, going on the ground, searching for deals, finding the deals, finding the property investor and asking them that, man, I have a deal for you and this is the deal, this is how much I charge, right?
The reason why I was asking that question is that with property, you don't necessarily need a whole lot of money to actually get.
I hope I answered you correctly.
You did.
Thanks.
I'm so happy with that.
Okay.
With property, there's this myth of, no man, I need so much money, I need millions to get in. However, if you have this mentality that you've got a perfect plan in place, and you want to get your money, you understand the position that you are in. For instance, with us, we didn't have so much money. I mean, I couldn't get a loan from you and say, Lebza, give me 1 million. We were not in that case. So we had to work, we had to save that money so that we get our money in this deal that we are in. So what I'm trying to say is that with getting your money, property, there's no red tapes in terms of if you do not have a pot of money, you are not allowed to get in the property space.
And guys, I don't want to put any fluff on this, right? I don't want to tell you that being a deal sourcer, you just run to the investor and say, hey man, give me the money, right?
And then I'll give you
There's a lot of things that actually go into it, right? It might actually take time for you to actually go into the ball if you do not have a mentor, right? It might take time for you to actually find your way around the deal sourcing, right? So now it might take time, guys. It is hard if you're doing it by yourself.
We were on our mentor's case, man. I still remember, I think it was for years, man. Texting, video calling. What do you think about this? How can I get the money? And I think this will be a story for another day, but you must know that if you are our mentor, man, hey, we apologize in advance. So
The third one is
savings. With savings, what happens is that once the money starts cash flowing, or once you get the capital injection of that money, you need to have a strategy. And this is tied up to the first 2 points, man.
Okay.
The planning stage, the getting your money, because now you want to build a proper credit profile so that going to the next deal, you are sorted. You do not want to be burning your bridges whereby you get money and then I'll be living the life, man. You'll see me on Instagram. I'll be Mr. Insta. Only to find out once I get into the next, if I want to get into the next deal, I can't because of credit purposes. So you do not want to find yourself in that. I would actually advise, because we are not financial advisors, I would advise that you get a power team. We're always talking about getting a power team.
Yeah.
A power team is very important because once you have an accountant in place, they will actually tell you that, you know what, if you're getting so much, rather do this and that. And then that will work to your advantage in the future. So when you want to use other people's money, it's not a problem.
Can I give the family our blueprint in terms of how we actually structure this, saving the money?
If they subscribe.
Hope you subscribe.
Did you subscribe?
Hope you subscribed.
No, we'll trust them.
Okay, so now this is how we actually run about it, right? Say for instance, let's use simple numbers with zeros, right? So now we're using 10,000 bucks, right? You have 10,000 bucks, you've actually sourced the deal 10,000 bucks, right? You'd need a percentage of how much you're actually going to put in to your savings account, right? So now on your savings account, you make sure that that percentage stays the same every month, right? So now say for example, on that 10,000 you said let's say 30%, right? It's for savings. The other one is for actually to help you live, right? So now put the 3K aside, right? So now once you put that 3K aside, you actually grow your savings account. Then you can actually move on to another strategy that will enable you to actually buy your own property.
I mean, with savings, it's not that this is the only option, as I did talk about other people's money. So with saving, you mustn't have this mindset that when I'm in property, or if properties around my area range about 1 million, then I must save until 1 million.
Yeah.
We use strategic plans. Hence, we're always talking about other people's money in a responsible manner.
Definitely. And the last,
But not least,
and the last one is actually doing what? You are actually multiplying that money, right? In multiplication of money, what the first thing that comes to my mind is compound interest. What compound interest is that if I have money, right, it doesn't work as your normal interest. So now say for instance the 10,000 that we're actually working on, right, and we're working on a 20% return on investment, right? 20% of the return on investment would be 2K,
2,000,
right?
yeah.
2K. So now with the normal interest, it would stay as 2,000 throughout the years, right? But now with compound interest, it's the 20% on the principal amount. So now what do I mean? Let's use figures, right? So say for instance we're using the 10K, right? 10K multiplied by the 20%, you get 2,000 rands, right? You go into the next deal, right? Now you have 2,000 and the 20K, you put them together, you multiply that by 20%. So now what you'll realize after a long time, right, is now your compound, your interest, the money that you actually get, the profit that you get, right, it becomes bigger than the first time when you invested.
And now what ties this all up, and that's why I like this so much, is that even if you look at number one, your planning stage, you should be thinking with the end goal in mind. Hence, compound interest should be at your planning stage.
Yes.
Because now if I'm starting with one property, maybe after 3 years I'll have 3 properties. After another 3 years I'll have 8 properties. After 16 years I'll have maybe 60 properties. That is part of our blueprint that we planned, and then we got the money for, then we are currently saving for. Can't wait to get to that stage whereby I'll be singing compound, man. I really can't, man.
Man, the law of attraction says you need to put your dreams out there, right? Not even our dreams. This is not our dreams. This isn't our blueprint.
This is our
right?
life.
This is our blueprint. So now what we actually looking forward to, our first multi-let, right, would be 32 units.
That's what we're gunning for, guys, without any compromisation of some sort, guys.
We say that
that is the end of that is the end goal. I can't wait to get there. When we get there, I think we should actually link or hit I don't know what can we do to this video, man. Just bring this video back up and be like, man, we had to start somewhere.
So now in the beginning, we actually told you that we have a surprise for you, right? This surprise is actually fun, man. Next week, we are actually hosting a live event. It would be on your YouTube. We'll be premiering the live event and we'll be on the other side waiting for your comments. Hope to see you there, 11 o'clock on Thursday.
As next week, Thursday, it's a property date. It's official. It is a property date next week, Thursday, 11 o'clock. So now what we will be doing, we'll be talking about the three techniques that are very important that can actually push your property journey towards pushing a multi-millionaire property portfolio. We want that for you. So now it's very important that you do actually pitch. Guys, I can't overemphasize the importance of you pitching next week Thursday.
So now what I'm really excited about, this will be the first time when we're actually going to be posting running the numbers, right? Running the numbers. I mean, we got a comment last time that, man, please run the numbers, right? Because I'm a left brainer. So now please run the numbers. So now that's what we'll be doing. We'll be premiering the video. Make sure you join us on that premiere.
We have been preparing for the whole week, guys. I mean, we've been preparing the whole week and so excited about it. It's gonna blow your mind off. Trust me on that one, guys. Do trust us on that one. So tune in next week. We've got a surprise for you.
Noel
signing out.